So we're absolutely delighted today to welcome Georgia and Jack from Autism to talk about the Know Your Normal research findings. As you might know, and you will get to know, this is a project that was co-produced, so done together with young autistic people and researchers at Cray. And this type of research is very, very rare in the autism field. Most of the research that gets done is done by researchers or scientists in the field and has very, very little input on by autistic people and their families and those who support them. So this is a hugely important piece of research, not just because it's on the mental health of young autistic people, but also because it is a unique piece of research that is done collectively with young autistic people. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the kind introduction, Liz, and good morning everyone, and welcome to our presentation. I don't know if you've all had a chance to had a glance over our report yet or seen a summary report that went out live on Monday, but we're delighted that you could be here today. We'd just like to remind, before we go into the nitty-gritty of our research, is if you are on Twitter and would like to partake in the conversation today, then please feel free to do so. So we won't object if you are on your phones for short periods of time, but use the hashtag #KnowYourNormal, and if you want to tag in @AmbitiousAutism. So that's our social media expert Lexia at the back over there will be able to detect your tweets as they come in.
My name's Georgia, I'm a youth patron for Ambitious. I've just finishing off a Masters here in London, and I can also be found posting endless Doctor Who memes in Facebook groups and watching way too many videos about the London Underground, so that's my normal. The My Voice project, Ambitious About Autism, began a couple of years ago now with the aim of connecting young autistic people aged 16 to 25 and, as the name suggests, amplifying our voices on the issues that matter to us. We have a section on the Ambitious About Autism website where we submit content. I had a blog out yesterday, but late last year we took more of a campaigning focus and we decided to make a bigger impact with a large-scale campaign on a specific issue. And on the 15th of October 2016, in a room full of young autistic volunteers, it was unanimously agreed that we wanted to look at mental health. A variety of issues were raised that day based on people's lived experiences. Unfortunately, we still live in a society that doesn't always accept autistic people or meet our needs, which means that autistic people are more likely to develop mental health problems in the first place. These might present differently than for neurotypical people, and autistic people might assume that these symptoms are part of autism or just a fact of life for autistic people, when that really doesn't have to be the case. Those autistic people who do recognise their symptoms might then have trouble knowing how to disclose and how to deal with the reactions of those around them. And again, there's the risk that other people might just dismiss this as a fact of life. And those autistic people who get past all of that then often find that frankly there's no support available for them anyway, and that's particularly true for adults and for those transitioning from child to adult services. The end result of this is that autistic people are more likely to have ongoing and increasing mental health problems, and we think that's unfair. So we agreed on 3 major actions for what became the Know Your Normal campaign. We created a toolkit for young autistic people to assess and communicate their mental health. You should have those in your bags. We created an animation and some other resources to get the message out there, which are available on the knowyournormal.co.uk website. And we carried out this research, as Jack will now explain.
Thank you very much, Georgia. So, hello, I'm Jack, and I'm one of the Vice Chairs and Youth Patrons for Ambitious About Autism, and have been working in the disability sector for a number of years. My degree is in English and creative writing, so quite an artistic and creative course I went into, but I've worked with a number of organisations over the years, including MENCAP, the Council for Disabled Children, and Scope. So my normal is perhaps best described as laughing unexpectedly sometimes, so I will try and endeavour to suppress that if I can and avoid corpsing in the course of the presentation. So at the start of our research, our focus was on 3 main questions. So looking at how we interpret normal, but also how a person's normal changed when experiencing mental health issues and what support was received. So those were the three main focuses within the main priorities of our research. We felt that these three questions were important to generate a clear understanding of what mental health issues might look like compared to autism. And as I'm sure most of you are aware, that any mental health condition is a comorbid condition as opposed to being incorporated as part of an autistic person's behaviour and their typical selves, essentially, that any mental health deterioration is just that, and as is reflected in also within neurotypical people. And as Georgia explained, that many of us have experiences for our normal being mistaken much of the time for mental health issues. So this could be something like meltdowns or becoming overly quite anxious and feeling and stressed in situations that neurotypical people might feel okay in, it, that they feel quite comfortable, and that it's not necessarily something to become too anxious about. But for an autistic person, this is a completely different scenario. So a lot of mental health issues and within the autistic spectrum are often too easily dismissed. And our research has shown that 14% of individuals felt comfortable disclosing potential mental health difficulty, and this was in particular regards to clinicians. I believe that clinicians did not fare particularly well, as you will read in our findings. So it's a clear symptom that within the system itself, that it should provide the most help in urgent needs and cases, that it is not being made available. So from asking these three research questions, we aim to challenge how the differences between how a person felt and how they behaved usually, so what their normal might typically look like on an everyday basis, and how this looked when they were experiencing mental health issues. We also thought it was helpful to show, to know what support people had accessed in the course of those experiences, and how this access worked and what were the barriers, and how could those barriers try and be removed whenever possible. So in order to gather the data, participants were engaged via telephone, Skype, and on a couple of occasions Messenger as well, which had varying degrees, in which I'm sure that Laura would be able to explain to you about how that process worked and the effectiveness of that. But it was very much adapted to the needs of the individual at hand, so not everyone necessarily felt comfortable speaking in person, so you have to bear in mind the needs of the individual and make sure that that research is tailored to them if they are wanting to take part. We targeted predominantly 16 to 25-year-olds and wanted a diverse group as possible, but as you might guess, that a lot of those people came from the Asperger end of the autism spectrum, for those who had abilities to communicate and what we might call deemed to have mental capacity, in which they would be able to consent and give responses to, in which case it was a tricky issue we had when getting ethical approval for this research, which we felt was a bit of an overreaction, but in the end we did get there. We felt that surveys and interviews were the best to gather that methodology for allowing people to take the time that they needed within case studies or answering online. And I believe there was a paper option that was available too if people wanted it. And the questions were both informed by ourselves, who were involved in research, and also tailored by Liz and Laura, who shared their experience to input into some of the more academic rigour that was required in the research. So it's important to note that we ourselves were involved during the course of this process. So it is a piece of co-production and co-creation in which we are very proud of, and is something that is quite unique and still developing within this sector of research.